Hey there, my name is Pravus and welcome to more Hearts of Iron 4 No Step Back. I look terrible today. Don't worry, I'll explain more about that in a little bit. Let's go ahead and jump into a new campaign. So last time on the channel we played as the Soviet Union, just mostly to get our feet wet and explore a lot of the new content. Today we are returning to Mother Russia, but not to play as the Soviet Union. Instead we are going for an achievement called the Romanovs' Last Laugh. This is going to require we go down the monarchist route and restore the Tsar to the throne, and then occupy the capitals of the former Central Powers from World War I. We're talking Turkey, Bulgaria, Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Germany. Gonna be a little bit tricky, but I've had a little bit of practice with this, just getting ready for this series, and I think I've got at least a good early game setup. Whether we can pull off the rest is gonna be a little harder to say, but let's go ahead and jump into this. Of course, we do have to be playing in Iron Man mode, because I do want that sweet, sweet achievement glory. Okay, here we are in the glorious USSR once again. So, let's think about our long-term goals here. We want to take out Turkey, Bulgaria, Hungary, Austria, Czechoslovakia, and German Reich. Most of these targets are ultimately going to be a part of the Axis, and if we play our cards right and go fast, we might be able to conquer simply during World War II itself. Turkey is the outlier. Turkey will usually get guaranteed by the UK at some point pretty soon, and I really don't want to have to fight the Allies in addition to the Axis. This war is going to be hard enough as it is. So I kind of want to take out Turkey early on, and something I saw was recommended in the very few written guides that exist for this achievement is to actually declare on Turkey kind of immediately, and I think that is the way to go. It does mean we'll have to fight Romania as well, which is a little annoying, but hey, free real estate is free real estate, right? So, we're going to be waiting on any national focuses and instead saving up political power to start justifying on Turkey as soon as we are allowed. So I'm not even going to look at the national focus tree right now. Forget this for a moment. We'll come back to it. Let's go ahead and get ourselves our standard production, construction, and research tech. We need all of those. I have organized the army preemptively. We can go ahead and set some of these guys up. Mostly, I think, along the border of Romania, but at least a handful along the border of Turkey as well. And I've split things up to include our fast breakthrough units, namely tanks and motorized right here, plus mountaineers, which we can set up to the mountains of Georgia like so, and then cavalry, which I would be tempted to get rid of, except from my experience so far attempting this achievement, cavalry actually kind of work in the early game. They won't stay that way, but in the early game, it actually ain't half bad. The only units you don't want to use are these guys with this little icon right here, the NKVD, because these are garbage templates. If you take a look at those real quick, right over here, they're military police. That's all they are. But here's the thing, they're like special event troops. I can't change their templates, I can't delete them, I can't get the equipment back, so they're just gonna sit there and soak up my manpower and equipment. They suck, and I hate them. So yeah, we're just going to ignore some of that. Let's go ahead and get a few factories set up. I do not care about strategic bombers. And then as far as like ships and stuff, I guess we can go ahead and like finish what we've already started building. But beyond that, then I want to reorganize my navy because right now, I just don't care about most of this. I will, however, send almost all of this stuff down to the Black Sea because this is the primary area that I'm going to have to be concerned with in the early game. And then after that, we can reorganize as much as we want to. So let's just go ahead and plan on doing all of this like so. All right, perfect. Now, as far as construction, this is kind of important. First off, I know that when the Civil War begins, we are going to have our capital move over here to the state of Chita, or however you say it. So I want to start building up things like some civilian factories over there. The other thing I need to worry about is supply and railways, because again, my supply capital hub is going to move right over here, and I need to make sure that we are able to supply our units all the way up to the front lines with the Soviets. And if I do things correctly, I'll probably have all of this territory in Siberia and up to the Urals almost under my control. I'm ultimately going to want to make this my spearhead state, and I want to have level 3 railways all the way up here to support as many troops as possible. We're not there yet, but it's something I'm gonna want. Good morning, Gimli. Did you just wake up? Oh, you look so cute. So the reason I look terrible today, and I guess I might as well explain some of this. I've already attempted doing some of this achievement. In fact, I actually recorded for several hours yesterday for this achievement, only to then find out that my OBS had a bit of an error in it and recorded the wrong resolution. So right now, the reason I look so terrible with bedhead is I am frantically recording this just a couple of hours before this is due to go live on a Monday morning, so Yeah, let's hope this all goes well, because otherwise I'm doomed. Anyway, so that's the railways I need. We want to get better railways up to the supply hub in Romania so I can field more troops, and we want to have 2 choke points filled up here around Turkey, because these are the only level 1s all the way back to my capital. Once that's done, we can start focusing on building up a couple more civilian factories up here in Siberia. Yes, Siberia, because this is the territory I'm going to have. I don't need to make the USSR more powerful right now. That's just not going to work out well for me. Let's go ahead and trade for a little bit of rubber and then move up to speed 5 and do nothing but sit back and wait for 50 political power. I know, it hurts not to go for a national focus. Trust me when I say I understand. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to wait till we get to about 50. Get that 1.62 per day, because remember, you spend a chunk of your political power every day while you have a focus going. If you're trying to save political power, don't go for a focus. That's how you build it up quick. It sucks, but it does work. We probably do want to get things like some planning bonuses and stuff going, I suppose. We want to probably set up mostly a spearhead division across the river and following along the railway into Romania. That's what we're going to do. This exact path is where I want my tanks to ultimately push. Everything else doesn't really matter too much for planning bonuses. We're going to be micromanaging the crud out of our troops. That's the 50 political power I wanted. Let's go for a conquer war goal, doesn't matter where. 250 days. Yay! Alright, now we can start working on the national focuses. So once again, this tree is huge. I'm just in awe every time I see it. But we're going for this very far right path over here, which is going to actually lock out a massive amount of the tree. But this is called beaten but not defeated. And this is going to start the process of building up support to get that civil war going. So we have to pick this up first and foremost. And the early game is all about surviving the civil war. Win that civil war as quickly and resoundingly as you can. And there are tricks to try and help with that. But after that, then it becomes a matter of, oh, I don't know, survive against Germany behind the river for as long as you can until they eventually grind themselves into dust, and then you can go for your push fast enough that you grab the capitals before the Allies do. Alright, so there we go. Joseph Stalin is concerned about factionalism. As well he should be, because it turns out we are indeed trying to usurp him. Alright, let's go for unification of the exiles. This gets me a good amount of political power, which I will need, and starts increasing political paranoia. Yes, paranoia is a thing we're going to have to worry about now. Watch that paranoia, because if it starts getting up nice and high at some point, I think it's around 90%, there is a chance every day that Stalin discovers you and declares his war on you right out. And we do not want that. But the fun thing is, playing Stalin's paranoia against his own cabinet is actually to our favor. It purges some of his best officers, and it starts to really peeve off his military. You see this 10% number right here. This represents the Civil War support that we're going to gain. Right now, 11% of the Army supports me. 10% of the Navy, 2% of the Air Force, 2% popular support. The higher we get these numbers, the stronger our starting position when the Russian war starts out. So we want this very badly. One thing I did was go ahead and set up our secret headquarters down here in Chita for the cost of 10 political power, and you can see that soon we'll start infiltrating states in order to start building up support. It's just like the Spanish Civil War in that way. You start off by kind of infiltrating states to determine what your starting borders are going to look like when you are ready to go to war. So we're going to start by trying to pick up a lot of this territory, but I can't do anything with that until we get to embrace the Black Hundreds. So I'm going to go ahead and make use of jump cuts and jump forward because I want to get as much crammed into this video as is possible. Okay, unification of the exiles is done. Now we get to choose what we're going to go for with these 3 focuses here. And what these are going to do is give me a bonus once the Civil War begins. The women's fascist movement, for example, gets me more recruitable population, which is pretty darn good, plus a lot of factory output. Very helpful, but it increases popularity of fascism specifically. True Tsars gets a bit of fascism and non-aligned, as well as weekly manpower and some stability. National unification is going to be getting me things like military factories in the capital when the Civil War begins. Ultimately, from my testing, we're probably going to end up picking both of these 2 up because I want as much non-aligned support as possible. So I guess we'll go ahead and start with something like national unification, though I'll probably end up having to circle back at some point. Right now, we only need 1 of these in order to move on to embrace the Black Hundreds, and this is the most important thing to be going for as early as you can, so you can start infiltrating some of those states. So that's what we're going to be going for. Another thing I would love to do would be to swap over to partial mobilization economy. I don't really think we can do that because, unfortunately, I need a lot of political power in order to win this civil war. But by God, would it be nice to have access to this right now. Let me think. We're only making 0.42 political power per day because of a lot of the issues. And the fact that I just got an event called Understaffed Bureaucracy, which means I'm going to get even less. Yeah, I don't think I can go for this. I need all this political power. I think. That bites. That really bites. Okay, let me think for a second. Is there anything else I can do as far as like a chief of army and stuff? Yeah, I could do some stuff over here. Getting army experience early would really be nice. Oh, gosh, there's a lot we need to spend this political power on right now. I really want that partial mobilization law. It would let me get so many more factories going. All right. I'm going to take the risk. This is something I did not do in my last attempt. We're going to go for the partial mobilization economy early on. That's going to let me build out my railways as well as some new factories faster, which hopefully will set me up. Because one thing I'm very concerned about is our economic game. We're going to have a hard time enough taking down the Soviets. Once the Soviets are down, we're going to have a fractured and just absolutely useless Russian economy that's going to have to somehow survive against the Germans. I am highly concerned about that. Highly. So, if this lets me start working on getting that economy up and running faster and building up those factories faster, so I have a chance of getting back up there, maybe. Now, one thing to note with the Civil War stuff going ahead and prepping over here, Stalin is trying to reduce the support for the Civil War as much as he can. We will soon have the ability to start building this up. We could start offering things like oil rights or different territories to foreign powers in order to secure some of their support as well, and there's a good chance that paranoia goes up, but also they will send us some extra stuff when the war starts. Could be helpful. Ideally, we don't have to do this at all. We'll find out. Okay, we have embraced the Black Hundreds. Now we're going to be having to play the little mini-game of constantly spending political power, securing territory as quickly as we can. We're going to start by trying to secure some territory over here to the east, which costs 15 political power, which is a bit on the expensive side, but we'll do our best to get territory over here. But mostly what I care about, beyond anything else, is getting all of the states that go along this railroad over here, all the way up to Omsk, ideally. This is what I am shooting for. I have to control the railroad. At the end of the day, I don't care if I don't own all of this territory that much. It matters a little, but not much, because none of this will have supply if I control the Siberian Railroad. Really, so much of our war is going to come down to controlling this, if we can. So yeah, that's the top priority. Now beyond this, we can start working on a few other little things. For example, going for covert operations is quite nice, because it's going to allow us to start framing members of Stalin's cabinet, such as his generals and admirals, and he'll start executing them. And it'll make everyone else really angry, so we start getting some Civil War support. And by the way, every time you get these conspiracy events, go ahead and just take the worst option as far as, like, your national focuses and stuff. That's all gonna go away and make Stalin weaker, and also, it keeps his paranoia down low-ish. You want it high enough that he's purging his officers and making people angry, but you do not want it getting anywhere near 90%. You might have to do a single forge of production reports to keep this below 70 if things are getting really close. There's the covert operations. The next thing I'm going to do is approach Semyonov over here, which is going to get me a pretty reasonable general, because our starting generals are going to be awful in the Civil War. But also will let us have a new decision to start recruiting extra cavalry divisions, which is pretty darn nice. Now let's go ahead and frame an army officer. This is going to take 14 days to do, but is going to get rid of one of his generals. Also, I'm pretty sure I already forgot to start pressing buttons over here. I did. Let's go ahead and secure some more states. Remember, Stalin is going to do the same thing. He's going to start trying to take some states slowly in Siberia. It's going to take him a while, but he's going to be doing that. So, yeah, we want to be babying this. I should be sitting over here and not worrying about anything else until the war is actually ready to start. There we go. See? He accused this guy of treason. Wait, that's one of my generals that I'm using. Darn it. All right, well, there's no place for him. Get rid of him. Burns down his paranoia just a little bit. Just a little bit. And in the meantime, his paranoia is down, and the people are unhappy. We are up to 14% support here. All right, now we've approached Semyonov. Here's the new event we can do. We can start spending command power to recruit Siberian cavalry. This is dangerous because it increases political paranoia. I can't do this too many times. But it's really quite good to do, because believe it or not, cavalry are kind of okay. You wouldn't expect it, but the cavalry actually kind of work. We're going to ideally have... Oh, the first Moscow trial. Thank you. That burns that political paranoia down quite a bit. The first Moscow... Sorry, not first Moscow trial. The Civil War, if we do things right, we're going to have a relatively similar army size to the Soviet Union. Any extra troops to help go above that is nice. But also, if we play our cards right and build out the right early game territory along the railroads, he's going to waste a lot of his troops trying to hold areas that don't actually matter. And we're going to be able to use cavalry to exploit his position and start obliterating his supply lines and his railroads. Like, really crazy using cavalry. They're cheap, but they're fast. That's the reason that we're going to like the cavalry here. So that's kind of why I want to get more of that if possible. Let's start working on that radio tech. We're still watching this sucker. 3 more days, and then we click the next one. We're just going to keep working down that railroad. Keep working down the railroad. There's the justification for war. Perfect. All right, so now we have to start watching this area and constantly spending our political power, and we have to micromanage 2 fronts in a war. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Let's go ahead and declare the war immediately. They are going to be calling in Romania momentarily. Let's start by trying to make a couple of quick pushes using our mountaineers along here and try to capture this railway so we can start encircling some of the Turkish units. This is basically the entirety of the Turkish army right here. That's kind of all they've got. Once I'm able to punch through this, we'll start bringing the cavalry forward and we'll use them to sweep across all of Turkey and obliterate. Down here in Romania, they'll be joining in just a moment. There they are. How's our supply looking? Not great, mostly because our tanks are all in the same spot, but I think it's going to be strong enough that we can begin our push. So let's start pushing to this side of the river if possible. Let them lead the initial charge. Then we use some infantry to provide some support if possible. Same deal over here. Once the mountaineers are all in position, we start attacking from other directions. At least some of them anyway. Over here. In order to try to get a few extra little combat boosts. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, so that's going to help. We'll start breaking through that in just a moment. Then we come back up over here and we watch this, because this is going to be done in a moment. Every time we click this button, we're gaining territory, as you can see highlighted here, that will join us in the Civil War. But also, we are slowly building up the Civil War support. That's why you have to be clicking this button kind of at all times. It's really important to do that. So let's click this. That's going to be an important supply hub right here. We need to control these supply hubs. Control the supply hubs, and no supplies go to the Soviets. Really significant for us. All right, so how are we doing over here? We're struggling a little bit because my organization is not fantastic with these tanks, but all we have to do is just win this initial fight. And I'm not going to be leading the charge anywhere else because we don't want to waste our equipment or our manpower on bad fights. We've just got to keep pushing. These guys are going to ultimately push right here and push these guys back. They can't do much. Then we're going to go ahead and immediately start pushing right along here. And now it might be about time to start bringing forward the cavalry. So let's move you like right here. And supply's not going to look great for the moment while these guys get here, but if we can push forward and take this, which we just did, then we're going to attack from other directions right along here so we can get this. That's a small encirclement just like that, and these guys we can either leave or kill. I don't really care. I guess we'll kill them so I can free up the front line. Now the cavalry are ready to move forward, and this is where we get to start having a bit of fun. I'm going to micromanage these guys to follow their railroads. No, never mind, they don't have railroads over here. Get the supply hub, there we go. Then start trying to encircle up to this supply hub in Trebizond and start pushing south all the way along the river down toward Batman and see if we can encircle a bunch of their units. Once the Turks are encircled, which we could do quickly using cavalry, that war is basically over. We still haven't won this fight, and for some reason my guys gave up. I don't really understand how that's possible. Let's go ahead and resume that fight, please and thank you. I definitely never said that I was okay with not continuing. So please somehow burn through this. We just got to burn through that organization. We should be able to win that. You know what would help a lot if I hadn't forgotten? That would be the Air Force. Yep, an Air Force would help a lot. Should have done that. Should have done that. Definitely should have done that. Let's go ahead and organize all of them together. Group this all up. We will move you down to 400. Then we're going to take I don't really care much about the strategic bombers and naval bombers. I'm going to let them sit back and not... Well, I guess we should get the air experience, if nothing else. We'll do strategic bombers and naval strikes. Why not? Then we're going to take, let's say, the tactical bombers. We're going to split you. Close support here in the Balkans. Then you're going to do close support down over here in Asia Minor. These guys are going to split twice, 2 air wings, air superiority in the Balkans, 2 air wings, air superiority down in Asia Minor. Boom, alright. So with the air support, we should be able to fight a lot more effectively. That'll help. That'll help a lot. Alright. Yeah, should have done that sooner. I probably lost a few more tanks than was strictly necessary because of that, but oh well. Let's keep pushing. Anti-saboteur campaign, that's right. Keep burning down that political paranoia. Then we're going to take a quick break from this fight. Grab my tanks, let them start attacking again. There we go. Because for some reason we actually lost a fair bit because I think a bunch of my troops had to retreat because their organization got too low. And then we didn't have enough reserves to keep the pressure on. That's the problem. If we can take down Romania, this war is going to be very, very easy for me. What else do we want? Let's see. It's November. I guess we go ahead and start getting ahead of time on the construction tech, if we can. We still have enough troops in the front line to keep the fight going, which is the important thing, so we're doing okay there. Send in these reserves, send in these tanks, keep them going. Remember, every day we have a 4% chance of another unit joining in on the fight. This is where micromanaging this and abandoning the fight and then starting it over again actually makes a lot of sense. But oh well, we'll worry about that in a minute. So we got the old guard. We still can't go for the Eye's Fear yet. We need to get a bit more support, but we also need other stuff. I want to get, let's say, the South Manchuria Railway, which is going to add us extra railways and supply hubs when the Civil War does actually start, which will be very helpful. Oh, and once again, guess what I forgot to do? Keep clicking the button. Right. Oh, no! He got the railroad. Shoot. I screwed up. Well, that's a restart for me, because I really needed to get that, and I will be right back once I get to this point. Okay, we're almost at the point that I was at before, except this time I did something different with Romania. I kept one of my infantry armies back so that we wouldn't soak up all the supply, so I had full organization on my tanks, which then immediately were able to blitz through the river. Now what we're doing is we're going to be focusing on moving down the railroad in particular. I am at a bit of a risk because I don't have much supply to sustain this push, but honestly, it seems to be fine. We're pushing right down toward Bucharest. We should be able to snag a lot of this stuff, especially if I can use some of these units to keep them pinned down. By grabbing this railway away from the Romanians here, everyone in this area should have no supply left, because these hubs have no supply coming in. So all of a sudden, we find ourselves in a really good position to break this country for very little cost on my end. Now we're just working to do the same thing down here toward Turkey, and we seem to be struggling a smidge. I actually think that we sort of have slowed this down a smidge more than we should have, but maybe we can still push through this. We'll see. Let's get some extra support going here. Let's send at least some people to do flanking attacks over here so we get a slight boost that way, and then I have to keep walking over here and babying this. I did push all the way to Omsk first this time. So now I actually do control the entirety of the railroad. Now I'm circling back over here and trying to secure some of the territory off in this direction. Doesn't really matter too much else what we take from here, except obviously the more factories we get at the beginning of the game, probably the better. So we're going to try for all of that. What else should we go for? I guess, honestly, probably just some extra infantry equipment would be fine. Maybe a little bit of extra support equipment and artillery. We're probably going to go down a superior firepower game this time around. Probably. So we'll see about that. Let's see, I'm going to have you guys continue... Let's see, we've lost a bit of ground here. We probably should send some of these guys, at the very least, to make sure that we can regain our footing here and grab this railroad. Actually, don't attack here. Attack here. Flank it. There we go. Now we're fine. Okay, we should be able to hold this, as long as we prevent these guys from going anywhere. Now it's just going to be a matter of doing some cleanup. Obviously, the more supply hubs we control, the better. So let's send a few folks up over here, and we'll try to snag the supply hub over there. And then we will take a little time to swap the supply hub to be on our side, but it will happen. In the meantime, I guess we'll go ahead and take the tanks, and then just keep working our way down the railroads. Since we've got speed on our side, punch you down, take this railroad, and keep working from here. Yep, there we go. That should be enough to beat the snot out of them, and in the meantime, these guys are going to have effectively no supply to work with, which means we can easily go for some supply cutoffs and encirclements and blah, blah, blah. They should all be fighting at pretty low strength, basically. I'm fighting a little bit low strength myself just because we're too far forward, but it'll work. It'll work eventually. Turkey is holding off a bit more than I thought they would, but okay. And then this will be done in about 2 days, and ba-boom, let's go for... I can't take you? Yes, I can. I have to wait till the end of the day. There we go. Let's go ahead and pick you up next. Has Stalin managed to secure anybody? Yes, he secured Kamchatka over here in Siberia. Yeah, that's going to do a lot of work for you. That's fine. Go ahead and enjoy Kamchatka when the war comes. All right, construction tech level 2, a little bit ahead of time. We're definitely performing better against Romania here, worse against Turkey. But that's okay. Can't allow these guys to stay cut off, obviously, so let's get our guys back up in position. But that's fine. We'll get our supply back under control. There we go. And this supply hub will be mine in just a brief moment, which means we will be looking just fine and dandy. Gosh dang it, they managed to surround me again. Hang on. Hang on. You stop trying to move. We can't... Oh, please tell me I'm not really going to lose a tank. They managed to kill a tank. Well, frick me. All right. We're getting a little bit too comfortable, apparently. Hold up, though. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's make sure we grab victory points. I need to end this war. It's kind of okay losing the tank, just because I probably wasn't going to be able to sustain too many more tanks anyway. It's bad in the sense that, it's a tank! I just lost a bunch of tanks, and I did not want to lose. Lordy. Alright, alright. I need to stop playing sloppy. Come on, come on! Something I would like to do is add in a Spirit of the Army early, since we have some Army experience to work with. Pick this up, for example, and we get a Doctrine cost reduction, which is pretty nice, will pay for itself eventually. Not to mention extra experience gain right now, at a time when I'm actually generating good experience. The alternative would be to go for Bayonet Strength, which would have actually gotten me even more experience if we're an infantry-heavy army. Which we are, for the record, but whatever. We'll live with this for the moment. We have mustered the old guard. Let's go for that railway I was talking about before. I know we're a bit behind where we had been. It feels bad, man, but it's alright. Take out their cavalry, keep working up the railroads, give them nothing to work with. Now, do I really want to kill all of their units? No, not really, because I think we technically will get more equipment when the war is over, if we let these guys live, quote-unquote. So really all they care about is just grabbing the victory points. Take those, and then that'll be fine. Stop wasting your time on fights that don't matter. We're trying to be as cost-effective as we can be over here. Something I'm going to have to do is go ahead and forge some production supports, or maybe go ahead and frame an admiral right now. Stalin is at 99%, which means there is a good chance that he is going to discover me and declare war on me in just a moment, which would be a problem. Fortunately, we just got a trial of the generals, so that's a huge, great purge. That came at a really good time. We actually could have lost the game right then and there had we done that a little bit differently. So, alright, that's good at least. And Romania is down. Alright, we got only a tiny bit of free equipment. Good lord, that was not much to speak of. Hopefully we actually had captured all of it. Alright, I'm going to take all states here. We could do some puppet things and try to make it work with, like, Hungary. There's, like, a treaty of, what is it, Trianon? But, like, meh, I'm not going to worry about that. The fact that I lost a tank out of that is really annoying. But, oh well, I think we're just going to have to live with it. Let's go ahead and set up a quick naval invasion and help finish off Turkey nice and quick. Okay, we have the railway. If I want to pick this up, we've already got one of the following, so now I need to circle back to the true Tsars so we can get up to 25% non-aligned support. That's the only reason we aren't able to move on to that next round of things. I lost my field marshal. Oh, haha, he was a really decent field marshal too. That's bad. Lost one of my generals at some point here, and oh wow, yeah, that explains why we're having a little bit of trouble in a few places, but okay. We're going to go ahead and launch this naval invasion pretty much as soon as we are able to, which should be tomorrow. A whole bunch of tanks are about to arrive, some of which may struggle just a bit. But, okay, no, hopefully we're going to be fine. I'd like to turn this fight around and actually push you back. Turkey actually has a few spare troops, which I don't think I was expecting, but okay. Let's go ahead and basically assign all of you to this, and your goal now is to push pretty much to Ankara and snag these railroads and then grab these major victory points. Snag all of those, if you don't mind. Maybe, however, have one of you go along the shoreline so we have some supplies being generated, because I kind of needed to take over this port and I wasn't expecting to meet any resistance. That said, it looks like we are probably going to be okay. We might lose another dang tank. You've got to be freaking kidding me. We might. It depends on how quickly we can burn this guy down, but we might. No, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. Okay. Frick, dude, that got a little scarier than it should have. All right, Turkey has surprisingly trained up a lot of troops in order to try and prevent me from going anywhere. They've managed to toss a lot more out there. Kind of weird. Let's go ahead and push up here to the north, and that way we control all this territory. This area, even if Stalin takes it, will be fully encircled. There's no way for them to get supply, so it's a great way to get his troops killed. Let's see if we can send some extra troops over here in order to try and defend this. I'd rather hold on to these victory points, and now I've got to micromanage like crazy over here and try to actually take out all of his stuff. Let's see if I can snag at least a few of these points, pin you guys down. If we can manage to get over to Ankara, then that would be a really good way of snagging all their supply so that they're fighting at a weak point, and we should be able to easily win this. There's the true Tsars done. Now we move on to the Eyes Fear, which is going to give us extra recruits once the war does begin, which even if we get up to half of their army size, that's pretty darn helpful. And then beyond that, we could move on to the Hands Do, but that would not be smart because that starts the Civil War and we're not quite ready for it yet. So I'm going to instead back up to things like Tolkachi and maybe also pick up Article 124 so we can get some extra stability and start reducing that communism support a little bit. I think that does affect the popular support. Could be wrong, but I think that's how that's supposed to work. So yeah, that's something we're going to go ahead and start doing. How's the paranoia? It's still hovering at 50%. As long as Stalin keeps getting some of these negative events, we'll be okay. But the moment that he stops getting all these events that reduce his paranoia, we're going to find ourselves in a really bad situation really quick. This entire war is turning into one giant, horrible cluster. I'm trying to snag victory points, and I think we might just about have them, but Turkey proved to be a little bit tougher than they were in my previous attempt at this campaign. Let's see. Let's go for some more dispersed industry. Oh boy, we are not making much progress in a few of these spots. So the next trick is to get into Istanbul, which it looks like he has left me a free path to do, which should be the end of it, I believe. There it is. All right. And he had almost no equipment left by the end of that. Yeah, these were not good wars for me. The last time I tried this, we did significantly better. But on the plus side, that takes care of Turkey. That is now done. We don't have to worry about them anymore at all. So I'm going to reorganize my military. We've made pretty good progress on building out territory for myself. So the next things for me to work on are probably to make sure that our supply lines are going to be good all the way up here to Omsk, and then just basically go for as much of this as possible, take as much territory as we can, get that Civil War support nice and high. One thing to note, the Hands Do is a crucial thing to get, because it doesn't just start the Civil War. It also gets you an extra 10% support amongst the army, specifically when the war begins. That's huge. You need those extra numbers. So we have to be watching Stalin's paranoia very carefully here. Because the moment that it looks like his paranoia is getting to a point where I'm not going to be able to get the Hands Do in time, that means we've timed this wrong and we're going to have to start it all over. And I'd hate to go for a third restart here, but if that's what I need to do, then that's what I need to do. In the meantime, we're going to end this video here, and I'm going to get this uploaded as quick as I can. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.